In tonight's headlines, Hong Kong could follow Beijing to gradually ease the ban on seafood imports from Japan if the products are safe for human consumption. Developers stay away from new projects as a proposed redevelopment in To Kwa Wan under the Urban Renewal Authority received just one bid for its tender. And Chief Executive John Lee promotes the SAR's advantages at the Beijing-Hong Kong Economic Cooperation Symposium to lure more mainland enterprises to the city.
China could possibly lift its ban on Japanese seafood imports, which was imposed after Tokyo started discharging treated radioactive water from the crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant into the sea. Japan has reached an agreement with Beijing, which will allow the People's Republic and other stakeholders to monitor key stages during the water discharge and carry out independent sampling of the seawater within the established framework of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Based on scientific data derived from the tests and monitoring, China will gradually resume imports of Japanese aquatic products that meet the regulation requirements and standards. Tokyo believes the new monitoring plan will effectively meet demands of all stakeholders while maintaining fairness and objectivity in discharging the water. It will give countries the required confidence to resume seafood imports, as many nations think that the seawater around the Japanese coastline is contaminated with radioactive substances. One of the reactors at the nuclear plant in eastern Japan suffered a partial meltdown in 2011 after the facility was struck by a powerful tsunami, which was triggered by an offshore earthquake.
As Beijing is supposed to slowly resume Japanese seafood imports, hopes were offered to the city's food and retail sectors that have gradually adapted to a similar ban imposed by the SAR government over a year ago. Since August last year, the SAR has enforced a ban on seafood imports from 10 Japanese prefectures, including Tokyo, Fukushima, and Ibaraki, after Japan began discharging treated wastewater from a nuclear plant in Fukushima. As of Friday noon, the Center for Food Safety and the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department have tested over 85,000 samples of imported Japanese food products and nearly 20,000 local fishery samples, all of which met safety radiation standards. In a phone interview, Simon Wan, founder and chairman of the Hong Kong Japanese Food and Cuisine Association, expressed his hope for the government to lift the ban. Of course, Hong Kong operates under the one country, two systems principle, but it doesn't mean the SAR would automatically follow mainland's footsteps. However, if food safety issue can be clearly managed, the SAR government would be more likely to ease its restrictions, and that is what our industry hopes, he said. Wong noted that the initial ban posed significant challenges for businesses, which had to seek alternative products that often lacked the same quality and came at varying prices. He said lifting the ban would not only expand options for the food industry, but also benefit consumers, providing a wider selection for everyone involved. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
The long-anticipated rate cut by the U.S. Federal Reserve failed to spur the appetite of local developers to bid for lands, with an Urban Renewal Authority residential redevelopment project in To Kwa Wan closing bid and receiving only one tender from CK Asset on site, compared to some 30 express of intent the project received in July. The Kitak Row Saipo Road project, located in the development hotbed in Kowloon, marked the first project to close bids after the Fed slashed rates. The project site has an area of 57,100 square feet and a maximum developable gross area of 514,100 square feet, which is expected to provide about 810 residential units. The URA will allocate more than 5,382 square feet of net operating floor area for the construction of a community child care center. Based on a comprehensive market survey, the site is valued at about $1.851 to $2.159 billion. equivalent to a floor price of about $3,600 to $4,200 per square feet.
The 27th Beijing-Hong Kong Economic Cooperation Symposium and Beijing-Hong Kong Cooperation Promotion Conference kicked off in Beijing this morning and witnessed the sealing of 15 key project cooperation agreements between the two cities.
为了香港、澳门同胞好。
At the opening ceremony, Zhou Ji, Executive Deputy Director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, said Hong Kong has always been and is still a fertile ground for investment by global enterprises and diverse talents, as tourism services in the city continued to transform and upgrade, leading to an influx of prominent companies as well as broad and in-depth international collaboration.
事实上，越来越多的环球企业和人才
Speaking at the same conference, the SAR Chief Executive Zhang Li said BeijingHK has assisted 390 companies to set up or expand their business in the city so far this year, increasing more than 40% over last year and bringing in $41.1 billion of investment. This proved that more and more global enterprises and talents are putting their faith in Hong Kong. He also hoped that the conference could facilitate more interaction and cooperation between both cities, so as to create maximum value for enterprises on both sides.
更多的内地企业正在积极在全球布局。
Meanwhile, Financial Secretary Paul Chan said the initial public offering market in Hong Kong have raised $6.5 billion so far this year, ranking 4th globally. He expressed confidence in the city's IPO activities to gradually pick up and believed that the city's interconnection with the mainland, combined with its professional services offering, would enable it to play a greater role for the country. This year's conference will last for 2 days, carrying 15 thematic promotional events, and for the first time includes 3 events to promote investing and doing business in Hong Kong specifically. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
The Chief Executive in Council has given the go-ahead for the Suntec Technopole project despite a judicial challenge targeting its environmental impact assessment. The 3 draft outline zoning plans approved includes the Suntec Technopole, Maipole and Fairview Park, as well as Ngau Tam Mei zoning plans. Despite the High Court's granting of an application to the judicial challenge last month, the Development Bureau assured the public that the project has undergone thorough research and consultation based on laws and regulations, stressing that the planning process has been both professional and comprehensive. Amid strong public demand for faster development in the innovation and technology sector, the government confirmed that the project will not be halted due to the ongoing judicial review. Starting today, tenders are invited for the first phase of site formation and associated infrastructure works, except for pond filling, with a closing time at noon on November the 1st. Construction works are set to begin in December following funding application to the Legislative Council, with the first plots of land expected to be ready for innovative and technological use by 2026.
Tropical storm Puan has further weakened to a tropical depression after making its second landfall in Shanghai and moving inland to Jiangsu province Thursday evening, while Zhejiang and Shanghai experienced severe floodings. It is unprecedented that Shanghai was battered by 2 typhoons in 4 days, bringing in record-breaking rainfall to parts of the city, especially Jingshan, Songjiang, Pudong New Area, and Fengshan districts, with over 100 millimeters of precipitation recorded. Some 112,000 people in the megacity were evacuated as of Friday morning, and several streets in Pudong and Fengshan districts have issued temporary work and school suspension notices. China's meteorological authorities forecasted that Puan will maintain its intensity for a while. Meanwhile, task forces dispatched by the State Flood Control and Drought Relief Headquarters continued to guide disaster relief efforts in Zhejiang and affected areas.
Multiple fires could be seen burning on hillsides after Israel launched rocket attacks on the village of Kfar Sir in South Lebanon. No casualties were reported, but Israel claimed to have destroyed rocket launch sites in the area, which is the stronghold of Iran-backed militia group Hezbollah. Lebanon is still reeling from the deadly explosions of pagers and walkie-talkies, which targeted members of Hezbollah, killing 37 people, including 2 children, and wounding more than 3,000 across the country over the past 2 days. Although Israel has not claimed responsibility, the vicious attacks have disabled many of those who are wounded. Some have permanently lost their eyesight, while others have had their hands and limbs amputated. Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, said the retribution against Israel will be just and will come in expected and unexpected ways. Forcing the threat on its northern border, Israel has ramped up artillery positions as it gets ready for a heavy-handed response from Hezbollah. Both sides have exchanged fire regularly since Israel invaded the Gaza Strip 11 months ago. Sachin Katwe, Cable News.
The SAR's inflation rate came in slightly lower than market expectations last month. The Composite Consumer Price Index for August recorded an increase of 2.5% over a year ago, matching the rise seen in July. When excluding one-off relief measures, the underlying inflation rate is at 1.2%. For the first 8 months of the year, inflation has averaged a rise of 1.8%. According to the government, inflation is expected to remain modest in the short term. However, local costs may face some mild upward pressure due to economic growth in the city. Despite potential uncertainty arising from geopolitical tensions, external price pressures are generally expected to ease further.